Y'all, things just got real messy with Yandy and her son. After a huge blow-up, Yandy kicked Lil M out of the house, and it all started with a shocking moment in the car. Imagine this. Mendeecees and Lil M are riding together, and out of nowhere, there's a loud slap right across his face. This wasn't just a small argument, it escalated fast. But why did it happen? What did Lil M say to make his own dad snap like that? And more importantly, why did Yandy react the way she did? I've got all the inside info on this drama, and trust me, it's bigger than you think. From secret arguments to full-blown fights, this is full-on reality TV-level chaos. And the streets have been talking, with rumors flying everywhere. So, grab your popcorn because we're about to break this down. Let's get into the details because this situation is pure mess. It turns out that there's been tension between Mendeecees and his son, Lil M, for a long time. We've all heard the whispers, and while some might have expected it to blow up eventually, nobody could have predicted how bad it would get. Father-son relationships can be complicated, sure, but this one is a full-on disaster. If you don't remember, Mendeecees been in and out of prison, and when he got locked up, the family dynamic shifted. Lil M had to grow up fast. Yandy was the one who stepped up, making sure Lil M had support and guidance while his dad was behind bars. She had his back through thick and thin. But when Mendeecees came home, everything changed. It was like he expected Lil M to just fall in line, like nothing ever happened. And that's where the problem started. You can't just expect years of hurt and resentment to disappear overnight, especially when you haven't been there for your son. And let's be real, Mendeecees wasn't exactly winning any Father of the Year awards. Remember when he said he wasn't sure if he would have held Yandy down if the roles were reversed? The internet didn't forget that. If he could say that about his wife, what kind of energy was he really giving his son? Fast forward to that car ride, and the tension between them exploded. From what I've heard, it all started with something small, just a regular father-son disagreement. But when there's years of built-up frustration, even the smallest thing can turn into a massive argument. Mendeecees was apparently going at Lil M over his attitude, saying that he's been acting disrespectful lately. You know how some dads try to assert their authority with that watch your tone energy? But Lil M wasn't backing down. He snapped back, telling his dad he didn't respect him because he was never there for him. That hit hard, and it felt like a line that couldn't be taken back. Instead of listening or understanding where his son was coming from, Mendeecees did what he always does. He tried to control the situation. Instead of having a real conversation, he just raised his voice, telling Lil M to fix his attitude. That's when everything went south. Lil M looked his dad in the eyes, and without missing a beat, he said, "You want to act like a father now? Where was this energy when I needed you?" That line? Brutal. And before anyone could even process what was happening, Lil M swung, slapping his dad hard across the face. The room went silent. Mendeecees was left sitting there, shocked, not knowing how to react. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like he didn't have control of the situation. It wasn't the angry outburst people might expect. No yelling, no fighting back, just shock. It was like he had been hit by a truck, and he didn't know what to do next. Now this situation could have gone a few different ways. Mendeecees could have snapped and yelled at his son, maybe even fought back, but he didn't. He just sat there, stunned. This moment was unexpected for everyone, and it made people realize how bad things had gotten between them. But here's the kicker, Yandy's reaction. After this explosive fight, she made a huge decision. She kicked Lil M out of the house. It's not clear exactly why, but it seems like she felt torn between trying to keep the peace and handling the chaos in the way she thought was best. It might have been a snap decision, or maybe she felt like enough was enough. Either way, she didn't hold back, and now the whole family dynamic is in question. The streets have been buzzing ever since, with people trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Are they going to be able to fix their relationship? Or is this the final straw? It's clear that things between Mendeecees and Lil M have been brewing for a long time, and this incident just brought everything to the surface. But let's not forget the impact on Yandy. She's been caught in the middle of this mess, and now everyone is watching to see how she handles it. Will she continue to stand by her son, or will she side with Mendeecees, who's been her partner through all of this? Either way, this is a tough spot for her to be in. At the end of the day, what we saw unfold in that car wasn't just a fight. It was years of unresolved issues spilling over. For Mendeecees, he probably never expected to get slapped by his son. And for Lil M, it was clear that he's been holding in a lot of pain for a long time. This incident might not be the end of the road for their relationship, but it's definitely a turning point. Only time will tell how this all plays out. When Yandy found out about the slap, she completely lost it. Even though she wasn't there when it happened, as soon as she learned what had gone down, she was furious. She started yelling, demanding to know what in the world had happened. Once she pieced everything together, she made a decision that shocked everyone. Without hesitation, she told Lil M to leave. Just like that, the family was torn apart. But before we get into that, let's talk about the aftermath of the slap, which turned into a social media frenzy. The whole situation went crazy online. People were all over the place with their opinions, some supporting Lil M and others calling him out. Some people said there was no excuse for putting your hands on your father, no matter what had happened. On the other hand, there were those who supported him, arguing that he had just released years of built-up anger after being neglected. And of course, the memes were everywhere. People called it the father-son smackdown of 2025, and some even compared it to the infamous Will Smith and Chris Rock slap. The internet was on fire, and everyone was divided. But wait, this is just the beginning. When Yandy made her decision to kick Lil M out of the house, things got even crazier. Let's be real here. Yandy loves Lil M. She raised him, supported him, and stood by him when Mendeecees was in prison. She was his rock. But after seeing him hit his own father, she had to make a tough choice. It wasn't easy, and she definitely didn't make it lightly. She looked Lil M in the eyes and told him he had to go. No one saw this coming. People were in complete shock. The internet went wild, and Twitter exploded with opinions. Some people sided with Yandy, saying she had to stand up for what was right and that Lil M had crossed the line. Others, however, were outraged that she would kick out the son she'd raised for years, especially when he'd been abandoned by his father. The comment section was a mess, and people couldn't agree on anything. Now, let's talk about Lil M's reaction. He was in complete disbelief. The woman who had always been there for him, who had been his mother and father all in one, was now telling him to leave. He couldn't believe it. He stared at her, stunned, and said, "Oh, so now I'm the bad guy after everything I've been through?" But Yandy didn't back down. She stood her ground and told him, "I don't care what you've been through. You crossed a line." That was when things really started to get crazy. After being kicked out of the house, Lil M didn't just disappear. Instead, he went straight to social media, spilling everything he had been holding inside. He posted cryptic messages, exposed family secrets, and even went live to air out everything. He talked about how Mendeecees had never really been there for him, how he only acted like he cared when the cameras were rolling, and how his dad only started paying attention to him when it was too late. But the biggest bombshell came when Lil M turned his attention to Yandy. He accused her of only taking care of him to maintain a perfect image for the public. He implied that she was different behind closed doors and only acted like the perfect wife and mother for the cameras. At this point, the internet was left stunned. People didn't know who to trust anymore. Lil M, who had always been the quiet one, was now airing out all the dirty laundry, and it looked like he was telling the truth. Some people believed he was just acting out because he'd been kicked out, but others felt like he was speaking from a place of hurt. His words struck a chord, and the world was listening. The more he spoke, the more people started to question everything they had seen and heard about this family. Just when you thought the drama couldn't get any worse, Mendeecees finally spoke up. After staying silent for days, he sat down for an interview. He came prepared with his sad father routine, ready to play the victim. He sat there with a sad face and told the interviewer, "As a man, I never thought my own son would turn on me like this." The interviewer nodded sympathetically, as if she could feel his pain. He continued, "All I ever wanted was to be a father. I'm not perfect, but I tried. What hurt me the most was seeing my son treat me so disrespectfully. But let's be real. Nobody was buying this." The internet immediately pointed out that Mendeecees hadn't been a father for years, and now he was trying to act like the loving dad. The comments exploded. One person wrote, "Oh, so now you want to play the victim? You haven't been a father for years." The truth was, Mendeecees had been absent for most of his son's life, and now he was trying to act like the perfect father in front of the cameras. People weren't fooled. And as if things weren't messy enough, Erica, Mendeecees' other baby mama, jumped into the situation. She made it clear that she had been saying for years that this family was full of drama, and now it was all playing out in public. Erica came in with receipts, text messages, voicemails, and screenshots that exposed the family's dirty secrets. What these receipts revealed shocked everyone. They showed that Mendeecees and Yandy had been faking the perfect family image for the cameras. Behind the scenes, things were toxic. One text even had Mendeecees admitting to another woman that he only acted like a father for the sake of TV. While he was crying in interviews about wanting to be a father, these receipts showed that his actions didn't match his words. He hadn't been around when Lil M needed him the most. And it didn't stop there. Yandy was also exposed. One of the texts showed her telling Mendeecees that she couldn't keep up the perfect family image anymore. This was a bombshell. People started to question everything about their relationship. Was Yandy really the perfect mother and wife? Or was she just playing a role for the cameras? The truth was finally coming out, and the family's image was shattered. People were no longer seeing them as the perfect family they had once portrayed. Now, they were just another family in crisis, and the drama was far from over. The internet was on fire, and everyone was watching to see what would happen next. But one thing was clear. This family was never as perfect as they seemed. The truth had come to light, and now everyone was left wondering what would happen next in this never-ending family feud.